Villains from TV shows and movies should be getting a second chance because of their complex backgrounds and motivations, which often allow for better storytelling and deeper connections with the audience. Good evening, everybody. My name's Brett, and today I'm going to be talking about why villains from TV shows and movies should be getting a second chance. The redemptions of villains and such from TV shows and movies gets often overlooked because, well, they're the villain. And our eyes or ears are mostly focused on the protagonist, the hero of the story, but never really the story of the villain. Today I'm going to be talking about why that's a problem and why we need to be listening to villains more, because their deeper stories lead for awesome storytelling, and it just gives these characters so much better, stories to themselves for sure. Some credibility I have is I've been watching TV shows and movies since I was just a young lad, and I've really enjoyed it, and I've sympathized with the villains most of the time because I've just taken a bigger and deeper look into their lives. And if you really understand that, it makes any show worth really watching for sure. You see, villains have this setup. It's the plot that just makes that makes the villains hateable. No one really just likes the villains, and I feel for them. We all just want to see the protagonist succeed and win for sure. Starting with the complex backgrounds and motivations, I will start off with my first character, Walter White. Walter White is a middle-aged man who has a handicapped son and a pregnant wife who is on the verge of losing all of his money. He is a chemistry teacher and was a successful chemistry business owner until selling his shares to his best friends, which now he's in just kind of a middle class scenario. One day, Walter sees on the TV a big drug bust while celebrating a party with his brother-in-law, who is a DEA agent. The DEA agent brother-in-law talks to Walt and explains how successful the drug industry is. Well, Walter White, being a chemist and is familiar on how to make a certain drug, decides, well, my family's in such a bad need and needs money before I go. I feel like that's what I have to do to get the money. So Walt starts a drug empire, and along the way there's murder, corruption, and lies, and it just eventually ends to the death of his DEA agent brother and the separation of his family. Next, we have Kylo Ren, who is in the Star Wars saga. Kylo Ren, from the very beginning, has an uncle who just absolutely was the greatest Jedi of all time, Luke Skywalker. And Luke, from the very beginning, started training Kylo Ren, seeing that he had some force to him. And throughout his childhood, the anger just built with Kylo Ren. The pressure of feeling like he wasn't enough, like he wasn't his uncle, just dawned on him. Next, we have Loki for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Loki played a huge role in the cinematic universe, but before that, he was the adopted son of the god Odin and half-brother to Thor, living in his brother's footsteps his whole life, never feeling like he was ever anything to his parents, and always the second. The change for redemption for all three of these characters, we will start with Walter White, was Walter, he could have easily gone out of the drug industry 100%, but I feel like as the greed and money came in and people started corrupting him and his DEA brother just kept at him, it led to his downfall 100%. And with that, he could have been an honest family man who meant nothing. And at first, Walter did not mean any bad intentions until, unfortunately, his DEA brother was just on to him, and it led him down a dark and evil path that there was no return. For Kylo Ren, if he wasn't such pressured at a young age, maybe he wouldn't have been the way he was. And we could have seen a better Jedi than his uncle. For Loki, though, maybe if his parents just weren't so harsh. Maybe if his parents loved him just as much as they loved Thor. Maybe we could have seen maybe another god. Loki the god. The moral and ethical problems with these characters are, Walt was a pressure with the society and the family and feeling as if he wasn't enough, to where he had to just give his family something before he left this earth. And that pressure is so hard. And the lessons we understand from that are that you can't fall pressure. to hard times, and you have to just keep your head up and stay with it, for good things will happen, I promise. For Kylo Ren, we see that you may have some greatness, but you shouldn't force something onto someone so young. And for that, his uncle and his parents shouldn't have done that to him, and he could have been a great character. And for Loki, we see how parenting is very strong in a kid's life, and that we need to lead them to the best to make them feel like they are enough. Same for Kylo. And the impact on the audience as we see these characters and how they just must really come through. In conclusion, the redemption of TV show and movie villains is not just a narrative device, but a reflection of our own ideas, which force to judge, thinking more into the part of human nature. Stories personal to us, and that could be close to our real lives, just has a whole deeper level. The means of empathy and forgiveness and storytelling and connecting with the audience on a much deeper level. I thank you today for listening to me and listening to my argument. And I hope maybe you've taken a time or two just to really think about what I've had to say today. Maybe next time, watch a movie, you understand where the villain's coming through and how the movie sets to be a villain. You guys all have a good evening. Thank you so much.